Everything's fine. So, hey guys, today we are in the second series of our webinar sessions under the tag Martath in Muyachigal, and we have architect Sanjay Anthony with us today. And he's currently practicing architecture in the Center of Science and Technology for Rural Project Development and Workshop, and also as a workshop coordinator in the Laurie Baker Center for Habitat Studies, and it's in Trivandrum. So he's also was also the unit secretary of Karpagam Universities during 2015 to 16, and he passed out after 2016 to 17. So I guess our alumnus and our chief coordinator for SEED is here. Suyarianna, we would like to hand over to you to give us a general introduction session.
Um, yeah. Hi. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Hi. Hi,
Hello.
Sri.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Anna, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Hello, Eta. Hello, Sanjay. Eta. First of all, thank you for accepting our invitation. Like I know, like you have been in a busy schedule now, and at this time you have find time to spend few time with us. Like first of all, like it's a pleasure to have you today because we have been trying to have a workshop of you in our college, and we have been trying to have a seminar with you. Like it's been like postponing for so long, and. To add on to what Sanjeev told, like he was not just the unit secretary of Karpagam, he was a ZP of NASA India of Zone 6. So I know Sanjay Anna for like last 5 years, I guess. When I was a UD, he was a USEC, and from then on, he was like constantly we were in touch, and he was like constant support for me all the time. Anytime, like during NASA times and all, he was one of the main pillars that all.
Anna, there's voice break. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I think Shri Ariana's voice was not audible.
Okay.
Shri Ariana, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry, I'm at site now, so actually there's no much network here. So that's a
Okay,
problem.
okay.
Yeah, it's a
So
perfect
yeah,
place
that is
to
what I was
discuss about.
telling. Like Sanjana has been a constant support for me as a person when I knew him, like for like past 5 years, and it's a pleasure to have him today with us, like to share his knowledge and his thesis. Vriksha is such a success. Like when we went for NIASA last time, NIASA last time, and a lot of professors from other colleges was like mentioning his thesis on that time. So that is how a great impact that his thesis has given us. So uh, I don't know much to tell now. Like we are looking forward for your presentation now.
You. Thank you, Sri. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shri Arianna. Anna, you can start over with your presentation, and we're all ears and eyes to see your presentation and to know what more technical detail can you give us so that we can learn a lot from you. Go ahead, Anna.
So first of all, I should thank you guys to invite me to this wonderful opportunity to have a discussion. Basically, I think this particular moment, I feel like than like to take a um, class or kind of a technical session and all. I think uh, I wish like it will be better to have a storytelling or just share the experiences and the transformation I had from each stages in my college life and my career and all. So it's still going on. So I thought like I can share some of my experiences and certain knowledge which I have gained till now, so that it might help you guys somewhere in some point of your academics or especially in career as well, future. So I think I can start up with that. So I think this is all about once upon a time. The days for me, like realization or understanding new methods, the techniques, and everything. Those it started from my internship days, basically. And as uh, um, Sanjeev was explaining, like I was working in Costford, which is Center of Science and Technology for Rural Development. So as we today, since we are discussing about the socially responsible architecture, that's what today's like the main thread of today's session, basically. So in that, so everything I'm trying to connect with my experience. That's all. From that, whatever I'm saying from that, you guys have to extract the concept of socially responsible architecture. And let me just analyze this particular term, socially responsible. I think socially responsible have many dimensions. It's not only about how a society is going to adjust with that particular space being designed. I think in like along with that, there are many other layers. It can be tradition, rituals, religion, comforts, and many more. Even the climate, the ecological balance. So each and every layers, I think all these layers when it is piled up and like merged together, that's where that responsibility part, or like for an example, if a building is constructed using a brick, so that's where we have to think like how that particular material, brick or whatever material is being manufactured, from where this particular material came in my side to build my building, to construct the building. So understanding about all those particular um, methods, or like to understand about that travel or that journey of that particular material from its origin to the site is very, very important. And so that's what I'm coming to say, that the layers within this particular thread or this topic, socially responsible architecture, there are many layers, as I said. So like you guys will, I think after this session, maybe you guys will definitely realize or understand certain layers, and through that you guys can connect with your academy. So let's start with this once upon a time in my internship days. So I am a very bad, what to say, like let me confess now itself, like my sketches are not that understandable. So you guys have to have a little patience to just see in detail. So these are like few of my experiences which was sketched during the site visits or basically in office. So this is the
Went
first time when
and
I
did my
went and did
client
my client
discussion.
discussion. And hello.
Hello.
I
Hello,
think,
Can
can
you
you
guys
guys
hear
hear
me?
me?
yeah, no, I think we can hear
Yeah,
you twice. Okay.
fine. You guys can hear me twice.
It's
Yeah.
because both your this are unmuted, and both your phone and your computer is unmuted, so it's kind of like overlapping.
No,
Okay,
I think
okay,
both
now
are
it's
unmuted.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, no, yeah. Now it's good.
Okay, so let's go. Like So these are certain experiences I gone through. Like this is our Cosford office. So this is our Cosford office. From there, we like my architect used to travel my bike, and then we're traveling like that. We're going to document some buildings. So just let me hold over here. Okay, let me go back little more because I just forgot where I started. So let me go back little more behind. Hello.
Auntie.
Hello.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Let me continue. There is some disturbance happening. Yes.
Thought of asking about assignment.
Hello.
So sorry now. I think there's some trouble with somebody. Okay, you can carry on now.
Okay. Thank you. So let me go back little more behind, like to my third semester. So that's where actually the interesting part all about, like like for everyone there will be a turning point, and for me actually it was the case study which I went for the primary school design, and one of my friend was supposed to go to do a case study in my hometown itself, which is in Kottayam, and when he went there, one among his teammate was absent. That was a photographer. They didn't have a professional camera to take good photographs, and he called me and like, Sanjay, you have to come help us, and and I said like, okay, fine, I can come. So like, you want to come in your identity, you have to come in that person's identity. So I came, I went to that particular site, and that site is known as, like, that school is known Pallikudam School, which is in Kottayam. I hope you guys have heard about Arundhati Roy, the writer, social activist. Have you heard about the book called God of Small Things? Hello, hello.
Anna, you can continue on now.
Okay.
We'll handle it.
I prefer you guys have to like like it should be more interactive, or else it's very hard to like discuss or just to explain just to a monitor screen in front of me, explain everything, because usually
Okay.
during the sessions we used to get this what to say, that reaction from the audience. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's better if you guys can just like react to certain questions in between I used to ask. So that will be little more helpful for us to continue. Okay.
Okay, Anna. Will do.
Okay. So yeah, that's where like I went to that particular school, and her mother, Arundhati Roy's mother, is um, Mary Roy. So her school was designed by Padmashri architect Laurie Baker, and that's where the first time I'm seeing, like, till that I have heard about this particular person, but never got a chance to visit any of this particular design. So I went there, and it was a huge surprise for me, like how well the spaces was designed without without uh, like disturbing the contours or the topographical features of the particular site, basically. So it like gave me a thought taking uh, scenarios over there, and I was just going through more books actually. So for me, actually, that particular accident gave me a chance to go through all these books basically. So these are books, manually written by Laurie Baker. So one by one, I was reading and reading and reading. So it gave me a clarity or a different perspective of how an architect can involve in any social transformation. So if you guys also like, if I'm just recommending you guys these books, like each and every uh, sketches he have done very few writings. Basically, everything is done by through sketches in books. So hello, sorry, I got a call in between. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Anna. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
You can continue, Anna.
Yes. So these books gave me an introduction to the thoughts and philosophies of Laurie Baker, and then from there onwards the travel starts. Like uh, each and every issues happening, or whenever he uh, approached to the social issues around him through sketches, through cartoons, through wonderful thought process, like how to make buildings connected to, like responding to these particular social issues and all. So all these gave me a, a encouragement basically to continue with learning more about him, and it ended up doing my internship in his firm, which is Center of Science and Technology for Rural Development. So when I started internship over there, the the first day onwards, everything was kind of a relearning for me from each and every thought process. My egos were hurt in all the points, uh, from like thinking about the labors, or about all we all do have certain prefixed out labors, or the people who are in the low income group and all. So everything was like completely destroyed. That's happened in my course, like this internship days. So each and every travel. So one of the experience I will just share with you guys is this particular. Uh, this particular person. Hope you guys can see. One day when I went to this one of my first site, and when I was working, like I was just going through the works and all, one labor came and just met me, and I we were having a very casual discussion. So in that, we were telling, like like my academics and everything. So in between, I got a call. I was talking to one of my friend in English. I cut the call. I asked him, like, "Vello Manslayo." I asked him, like, "Did you understand anything?" Uh, I thought like he might not be understanding English, and this person responded me, replied me with, "Well, like, I can't say express how I felt that time." Like he was explaining to me back in English, and he said that he was a post graduate, his post graduation. Due to certain circumstances, he couldn't complete his studies or something like that, and he just started working as a labor. So that particular day, I had this realization of, we should respect labors, or we should respect each and every person in this world, no matter what kind of work they are doing, what kind of, like, how they are presented towards us. Like if a person is well dressed, that doesn't that he's the only person to be respected or to be considered. So that kind of realizations one by one started working out in me, and each and every, like, going with the taxi drivers to take the wooden shutters from the old building, working with the laborers, and cooking with, cooking food with our cook. This particular person who is showing his coming like this person, he used to cycle 12 kilometers plus 12 kilometers from to and fro from his house to work in our office. Like, so, like, learning is happening around us, basically. Uh, like reading books is what I said. People, like, I feel uh, all people around us are living books, and we need to learn out from them. So from there, like those internship days, gradually, yeah. So gradually, the transformation. um then more or less, then afterwards, I just started working in detail in construction happening in our office. Was involving in most, like, in more. So automatically during the site visits, basically, more I was just like the focus me was on how the buildings are, like, merged with the nature without disturbing the topography, without affecting the contours, without even touching any of the, even the branches of certain trees over there. Can you see, like, how that particular building staying in that place without even disturbing the topography of that place? So all these things gradually gave me, as I said, like, this travel is going like that. And then came the, like, the ultimate aim of an architecture student, like the thesis. My thesis, as Sri Hari was mentioning, Vriksha is the name of my thesis, and it is basically an intergenerational care center and a women empowerment center. That's the particular topic. It's more or less responding to many social issues. So um, I can't go in detail about that because of the time constraint. It's already 6:25. So I'll just go in a very quick way about all certain small details which I just like observed. So here, this is a kindergarten, Bhumi Kindergarten. So I went there to study about Waldorf system of education. It's a type of education, known as Waldorf education system. So it's basically focusing on students not through textbooks or through books, and that using activities, or like involving them in problem solving issues, or to improvise their skills in problem solving and facing challenges daily. So there it was, this particular building was a normal old house, but um, what to say, like, certain open spaces behind this building, you can see how very, well creative they have used this particular space. You know, using very, like, locally available materials like the coconut trunks and casuarina poles. They made some playing equipments, and they were playing with the goats, and also utilizing the spaces. So, like, that's where again I'm connecting with the topic, that responsibility part, like they are responding to the detailed layers which I mentioned earlier, like the social aspects, like they are responding towards the ecological side, like the eco-friendliness of like the place without disturbing the space over there. They are utilizing the space very well. So these kind of small details now gave me more trigger to even detail out and study more. So they, you can see here like how, no limit to learning. Like they were using natural paint from, like dyes from fruits and flowers and all, and they're painting. They're cooking someday. They're using certain furniture materials, and so automatically, what I'm trying to say is like responding towards our neighborhood, or how we are responding towards our own place. So let's start with our own houses. Like I feel like change should happen within, is what I think. Like the main thing which I can convey this particular situation. So here I am just showcasing you guys certain images, or you can see, you can relate. This is a house. It looks like a traditional Kerala house, and you see, because the materials we have used in this particular building is from the traditional housing, which was situated in many of the local places in Trivandrum. We just collected those material, like when those buildings were demolished, we just collected it, and thus we built this particular building. And this house name is Kanan. My colleague, Mr. Ashim, his house this is, and we have constructed like and you guys can see how, using all these materials, still wonders can be made. Now let me break again the socially responsible part. As an architect, as a citizen of the nation, how this building is responding towards the social aspects, ecological aspects, economical aspects, and even how it is contributing to the climate change. So these four things we are just going to discuss. 90%, more than 90% of the building materials are reused in this. You can see the bricks in this building, the bricks, the roof tiles, the wooden windows, even the columns which is on the veranda is coconut trunk. The wood which we have used. When we went to Tamil Nadu, we got a wheel of a horse cart, and that is being replaced on the wall as a window. And especially, as I said before, like without disturbing the topography or the ecological balance of the particular site, design spaces. And this is a very good example. You can see, maintaining that particular tree inside the building, inside the house, and constructing that particular house around this. And you can see how they are responding, like the family members are enjoying particular view. And instead of going for more and more concrete beams or concrete columns, utilizing the technical quality of arches, semicircular arches, pointed arches, to transfer the load. These are the detailed photographs of this particular house. So from that top entrance, this is a multi-level housing. You can see the place where that the grandmother of our client is sitting there, and that particular space is being floored using old old wooden pieces which we got from old houses roof. Windows without frames, reusing beer bottles and all, to have a artistic feature in the house. And for like on top, the roof is made of the slab. Roof slab is made of bamboo, and the top portion of that particular slab, like under this slab, it is bamboo. You can see how this is reconstructed and reusing the material. These are the phases of that house. And when we bought some more extra beer bottles, it is transformed as a like to make the cross simple. It is also adding more features. So the first point, which is the social, like how it is responding towards the social part, more to the main part, like almost all people who have visited this house, they really understood how a house can be constructed with reusing materials. And now people are understanding, now they started to think how to construct that as well. Secondly, the eco-friendliness. There is like very few materials being constructed to like very few materials were manufactured to construct this building. Rest everything was reused. So I'm repeating this term reusing is why, because at this particular situation scenario of we having less availability of materials. So this particular moment, we as an architect, we have a huge responsibility to think an alternative method without compromising on the client's requirements or to make a house. Like we can't say that to them like you should not consider house, but we have to. But how it is possible is where the tricky part, and without purchasing new materials and reusing materials, you can create wonders. Is what the your example is in front of you. So third part is the economical, responding towards the like economical aspect. Like one brick in this particular building is costing around 3 to 4 rupees, or like at the same time a new brick in this market in Kerala in Trivandrum, it is for this Ratra bond, it is 8.25 rupees before COVID-19. So you can see how the uh, huge differences. And to construct a window, a huge window, the process is like to cut the tree, to treat it, to the frame out of it, and shutters, panels, painting. You can just imagine how costly it will be for to create to make one window. At the same time, reusing a old window, purchasing the old window from a old house, which costs around 2,500 to 3,000, and to repair it, most probably it might take around 300 or 400 rupees for one window. In this way, if we reuse each and every materials, the roof tiles, we got this roof tiles. If we are purchasing it from the particular site, we can purchase for 50 paise to 1 rupee. And in certain cases, even it might cost around 4 to 5 rupees for one roof tile. You just go and see the current price of a mangrove tile in the market and just compare. So I'm not exceeding to more detail. Like just these are the thought elements I think I can give you guys, so that you know that's what, like the three things which I'm conveying again, the responding part, like the responsibility of an architect to respond towards the sociological as well as ecological as well as economical part of architecture. Next, I'm going to another building which is known as Ur, and this particular building is it's situated in my hometown only, Kottayam. So again, this house also more than 95% of the construction materials were reused. The flooring material is Atangudi tiles. I hope you guys use that. Basically, it's from Tamil Nadu, and those materials also we have reused, and the mud plastering, everything. So all, as I said, like the tiles, we have even used mud material. This is designed by architect Adi Padmakumar, our senior architect in Oxford, and he worked in HUDCO. So I got an opportunity to do a case study while I was working as an intern in our office during the construction time. You guys can see how almost all the windows we got it from hospitals, old hospitals, schools, jails, post office, and the client was so cooperative that he collected all the materials from the scrap places, and these old like balustrades and all were reused, and the color glasses, everything is being reused. Even the mortar in that this particular building is being reused from all the buildings. You can see the laterite on the mortar, everything. The mortar, like the people who go there will just powder it out, and they will reuse that correct, because the old traditional houses they use lime mortar. So the compound walls are made of mud and protected with roof tiles. So this is another project which again emphasize on reusing. I'm just showing out another one article came in a website of one of our another project, which is a house we have constructed for Mr. Sridhar Radhakrishnan in Trivandrum only. This is him and family. So you guys can see again the usage of bamboo in many places, and even reusing the material to have different spaces without compromising on the client's requirement. So these are the certain um, studies, or I can show off some what to say examples how, like, buildings where I'm working, like the designs or our buildings, how it is responding towards all these layers to respond and all. So hello. So I think
Yes, Anna.
yeah. So by now I think I can just have a small pause on the projects and all. So if you guys have anything to get conveyed about, you can discuss that, or else I can continue with the next session as well. Like,
You can continue, Anna, and to bring one thing to your note, to interact in this platform, because if many people are unmuting at once, it will kind of overlap. So we have a question
okay.
and answer session after this, so you can continue. And I've I let them know to put their questions or raise their hands so that they can ask their own questions and have an interaction.
Fine. Okay.
Okay, Anna.
So let's go back to the session, and here I'm just going to just share the few experiences now. Now you guys have an idea about how the buildings or the architectural spaces should respond in all these detailed layers. But all before all this, I will say that before becoming an architect, or like going into the professional side or to the career side and all, we should first identify who am I. Like the basic, very important question is, who am I? Who am I to this world? Who am I to this nation? Who am I to this my family? Who am I to my friends? So all these questions are a very like is still remaining questions, but to find the answer, that's where I suggest you guys to like travel a lot. Basically, just explore as a traveler, as not like a tourist. You guys just explore as a traveler. And for me, my traveling always to the places where uh, more like I really like to travel to places where there are somebody with our help. And there were many situations I faced during my career as well as my internship days. And one among that was a flood happened in Kerala in 2018. I hope you guys remember this particular uh, incidents which happened in Kerala in 2018. It, it this particular point was a huge turning point in my life as well as in the whole uh, state in that particular month. And the whole state was completely shocked because of this huge uh, calamity. And the authorities like the Trivandrum collector, Dr. Vasugi IAS, and like all the organizations like Cosper and everybody, we all were trying our best to help the people who were affected. Day and nights we spent and gathered materials from all the places where, even from places like even from your hometown, like in from your state as well, we got a lot of help, and everything was transferred to the people who need help. And we as a team, Cosford, we went and help, like we were involving with the local authorities to uh, help the people who affected. So this is another perspective which I am talking about. It is nowhere connected with the architecture, but still it is connected. How it is connected is mainly is like, being an architect and having lot many other professionals, engineers. Uh, these are my seniors. He is Sergeant Sir from Cosford, and he's R.D. Padmakumar Sir. And like all these people guided us how to respond to certain all these kind of situations. Basically, there, you know, like like it's not like looking like, like I'm an architect. How am I like able to help in this particular situation? Just respond to the situations around us is, I think, the main major point to, like to again connecting that particular topic, the socially responsible architecture. All the houses which was affected by this flood were cleaned by our team. Electricians were there, masons were there, our cost electricians, masons, everybody were intensively involved to, help people who are affected, like their houses, like all the, like whatever we could do as a technical side, from the technical side, everything was done. Like even the carpentry side, like, like when it was affected, we went there and checked. And even like celebrities and eminent personalities. You can see a small lady here and a person who is smiling over there. Her name is Dr. Sunita Krishnan, and she's a wonderful person. I hope you guys have heard about her, Padma Shri Award winner. She is running an organization called Prajwala, who rejuvenate and rehabilitate, people who were like uh, like they do a lot of missions to help ladies from the red streets of Bombay and other places. So people who are like the victims of sex trafficking were rejuvenated and like rehabilitated in the organization. And those people came down to Kerala to help us from Hyderabad. Again the ego, or like the pre-fixed thoughts about like these kind of people in me changed, and everybody have a good side. And this is how we realized everyone have a huge responsibility or role in the society, especially during calamities. So cleaning the Pamba river, the famous river, The trees, like the whole trees were submerged underwater, like 4 to 5 meters of like from the ground level was covered with water, and all the trashes on the rivers, which was like we humans flowed to the river, like they gave it back on the trees, and we were climbing on trees and so cleaning everything. So this is how, as an architect, again, I'm just sharing my experiences, like gave me a realization how small, let it be small or huge, but that particular contribution is a huge thing. Even as an architecture student, as an architect, or as a normal person, responding towards these kind of issues also is very important. So that's where, like connecting back, all these kind of realizations were transformed into the career. So I'm just connecting this thought of socially responsible part to the profession we are going to. So in each and everything, so whatever I'm learning or we are learning from Cosford and LBC is more of focusing towards imbibing the responsibility part of an architect in the society, to showcase or to introduce to people how well we can do without affect like disturbing our mother earth or like that. So these are like the certain memories in LBC where we are teaching them about bamboo and all. So I'm just winding up this session with a small technical session also. Like these are the very few technical things which we follow so as to make sure that we are not disturbing the mother earth very much. Like definitely we have to, because the materials we have to take from the earth, but still reusing as well as reducing. So the next term is reducing. So reducing is something, again, which is very important. Like here you can see from the sketches, like this is a dry rubble masonry work, random rubble, and just it is dryly packed without using cement mortar or anything, and that too the correct way of doing like that. So for a hard soil, we can use 45 centimeter thick and wide uh, foundation as basement, and that's all needed for a three-story structure if you have a hard soil strata on site. The next is brickwork, and here we in Cosford, Laurie Baker, follow this method of using rat trap bond, where just one point I'm just going to explain so that you guys can understand. Usually in a normal Flemish bond or English bond, the bricks are kept in one particular way, right? Like it's not like how it is being placed in Ratra bond, like where we are using the bricks on edge basically. So if we use 3 courses in Flemish or English bond, at the same time, we can achieve the same height with using 2 courses of bricks in Ratra bond. So these are the details. I'm not going in detail about that. I hope in some point of time we can even meet in person and really discuss about all these. This is another particular method which we follow, which is pillar slab, where reusing old tiles, we are concreting the slabs. Like the pillar slab, we have reinforcement, and with the reinforcement, we are using tiles inside the slab, and that's how the slabs are made. Pillar slab, that's the name of this particular technique. And Watlandov is another method which we follow, uh, where we have bamboos and we will weave. I think you have how the clothes are weaved, right? Like vertical, horizontal. So the same way we can weave the bamboo and make a skeleton and apply mud on both sides as skin, and that's how walls are made. Like that is known as wetland dog construction. Then the another one is mud, adobe blocks. So adobe blocks are nothing but once um, uh, once we mixed this mud properly with the required stabilizers, um, using the mold, we can make Adobe blocks, which we can use sun-dried bricks. That's how we use certain. These are the certain materials we like the techniques which we follow to uh, have to respond very effectively towards this current climate change or all the issues happening. So by this, I think I'm done with throwing out a lot of thoughts, and I know that it's like many people won't be getting certain things, but due to the time constraint, we have to uh, like pause this session for today. But let me tell you one more, like repeat one thing, that change is within. Like we, if we want to have some change, it should happen within, as our Mahatma Gandhi said once. So let's do our part as an architect, as an architectural student. Reuse, reduce, and recycle is these three terms is very, very important in this current. You all will come up someday with wonderful uh, designs and constructions and buildings which responds very effectively towards the social aspects. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. It was very astonishing to see all those presentation, all the things that you've done. More than an architect, it was also a part of a humanitarian service that you've been doing. So I think we can go to our question and answer session. Guys, you can post your question down in the chat box, or you can raise your hand so that we can unmute you, so you can have your own interaction. So I have a question on behalf of our seed initiative. Built form shelter has been one of the basic needs of human beings solely for only one reason, that is shelter. But over the years, it has done more than that. In today's world, it is a matter of status. How did Cosford master in changing the social, political, and economic status of the poor in terms of architecture, the physical and mental strains behind it?
That's a huge question. You should
Yeah.
not do this kind of thing. You should not ask like this kind of questions to people like us. Okay. Yes. So let me simplify it in a very short answer, I guess. Like the whole thing which I said till now is a huge answer for that. But adding on to that, as you said, how Costford is responding or how Costford is trying to make this change out is what your first needs. So first thing is always our buildings and designs are speaking for us, but in the same time, educating the clients is a very important thing. I feel whenever a client approach us to design a building or to have a space to be designed, it is our duty to make sure that they are getting the exact thing they want. But at the same time, let me tell you an example. There is a client coming in and they are telling like we need 4 BHK house. And when I'm asking them like how many people are staying in the house, they're telling me and my wife and my kid and my parents. So I asked, why do you need 4 BHK? Only you three, only you, 5 people are there in your house. And why do you need 4 bedrooms? One is for me and my wife, one is for my kid, one is for my parents, and one is for the guest who is coming to our house. I said like, who is coming to your house to stay? Like, is there any part like very frequent guest coming in your house every month or something like that? No, 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 no. There might be some chance where we'll get some guests from some part of the world or some part of our relations, and that will happen maybe once in a year. So that is where the question is. Why do you want that particular room or that unattached toilet or bathroom to be considered for one particular person who might come sometime in a year? So, that time we should educate. That's where the responsibility, but again, for an architect, like we should educate them the necessary. Like, we should do what is necessary, but we should not do what is not necessary. Is a huge principle which I learned from Padmashri Lori Baker. So it is very important. Even when we go to purchase vegetables from a market today, when if I'm going to make a dish out made of carrot, and if I'm purchasing brinjal also, it I'm cooking only the dish made of carrot, and the brinjal whatever I purchased is waste over there. Just connected this with this example with the scenario, like around more than 40 to 60% of residences in Kerala, if you see the first floor of the building, even in your state as well, I guess, whole world, I guess, if you see two second floors or three floor or three-story structures for residences, just see how many spaces are being utilized efficiently. Most of the cases, especially in Kerala, as I said, the first floors aren't being used at all. Like the people who are staying in the house, they are not even ready to go up. For years, those first floors are being vacant just as such. 20 years. 20 years, one of my neighbor's house, they haven't even used those rooms or any space in the first floor. And that's where we as an architect, we should educate them whether it is necessary or not. If it is not necessary, don't do that. If it is necessary, do that. Words of Lafari.
Okay, so we have a general question in the chat box from my friend Legito. How can one join as an intern in Cosford?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yes, to join as an intern, as normally what we do, like portfolio, an architect student, and we do apply. So let your portfolio speak, like let it speak like that. Like that's all. The way to join as an intern in Cosford. Nothing else. Yeah.
We have
Hi, Anna. I would like to ask a question. Thank you for your beautiful presentation. I think you have covered the entire in terms of architecture, in terms of being socializing, or it's well put together. Now, I really enjoyed the presentation. But you in your presentation, you were mentioning about educating your client regarding reuse, reduce, and recycle. How do you do it generally? Because uh, people, they see a lot of things, they prefer buying new stuff or um, uh, spending their money, even though you
Mhm.
tell them you can get the same material as cheaper and used one. How do you educate them basically?
Educating them is very hard in the starting stages, even for Baker as well as for Cosford and all. But once we are coming up with buildings, we will take them to the previous constructed buildings, and we will explain them, and we'll allow them to talk to the previous clients. And when the previous clients will be explaining about how the functionalities, like they are the one who's staying in that house. So we will tell the new clients to go and see the previously considered houses to have direct discussions with the client, previous client, and that's how this is happening. It's a huge process, but layer by layer. And even as we whatever saying, we'll show all these technical details and the like the savings on not only on the cost part, not about the money matter, but more towards the uh, eco-friendliness and everything. We will tell in detail in detail means we'll explain with the photographs, with facts, logical reasonings, everything. So I think with that, everyone can educate the client. So it will be tough during the starting stages, but gradually you guys can catch up.
Okay, now Anna, there's one more question that I would like to ask. When you're getting materials from other states or other part of the country, how do you know this is the lifespan of this material, or how do you check its stability? Because during construction, you will know, okay, I'll need this amount of material for the construction, and you're getting it from different parts of the country, and how do you understand its stability, or how do you fix its lifespan? Like, what do you say it for the beginners? If whoever is looking at it, if you're telling them to choose reusable
Uh,
material, in terms of
First of
stability
all,
wise, that's a yeah.
first of all, let me make a small correction to that. Like materials from other states or other countries, I don't think this is even connecting with the reusing factor at all. Why? Because if you look back to our traditional methods, each and every element in the building is taken from locally available resources, places. Just take the example of wood. Just take the example of tiles they have used in roof. Just take the example of flooring, building materials, everything, the walls, everything, mud. So each and everything is taken from the locality, like that particular locality. And so that is another thing. So answering to your question, like how to identify the stability or how to understand the quality of certain materials, we have to test it in many ways. Like for each material, there are a lot of testing methods. So for example, if we are constructing a house with mud, there are many methods to check the stability or the quality of the particular soil by different methods. Like one among that method is like you can mix the mud properly and uh, just mix it with water in a container and just keep it for hours. After that, you can see layer by layer. So from that particular unit of soil you have collected from the site, you can see the ratio of sand aggregate, like the silt content, the humus content, everything. So each and every layer, that particular soil, anything you can see. So according to that, you can clearly clarify like different tests to have a study on the stability part and to stabilize it more. In the case of mud, if the content of sand is more in particular place, we have to use more other stabilizers to make it stable to construct in a building. So it's that's how it is. Like for each material, there are separate methods to test, to test the quality and stability. That's how we should respond to it.
Okay, now yeah, thank you so much.
So we have a question from Seed.
Yes.
How did you overcome the social stigma of certain groups in Thrissur?
Uh, will you elaborate which is this certain group?
Uh, this is a general question from Seed. If the person is here who have asked this question, can you please elaborate yourself on that question? Or I'll move on to the other question if you want, Anna.
No, it's fine. Could you please
Okay.
repeat that question once again?
How did you overcome the social stigma of certain groups in Thrissur?
Overcoming is a very huge task. It takes time, and like this question is towards Costford, the efforts of Laurie Baker, and this is already started from 1970s. Every time there will be a lot of like issues and challenges. So overcoming that is all with the like that hope that one day this world, like in this world, we can have a huge contribution and to convey the message that we should use materials according to like which responds to the ecological balance. Just a small example. In earlier in our traditional buildings, most of the Kerala and Tamil Nadu houses been constructed using, and that time how they construct the houses is basically like they cut the trees, but when they cut one tree, they plant more than 10. So and they have a idea in their head that this particular beam made of wood, after 70 years, the quality of the wood will gradually decrease. By that time, the plant sapling which I am planting today will grow into the like a perfect mode, and that particular timber can be replaced, and thus we can like so the generations they have that idea or that thought in their head, our ancestors, that planting more trees have more impact. So that's how it is, like the transformation of knowledge or transformation of wisdom is not only on money making, and that there are many things. So or like all these challenges, we working through that hope that one day this world will become a beautiful place for all of us and we'll live together happily.
Okay, Anna, that was a nice explanation, but it was on a perspective how it deals with the gender, caste, and everything. So uh, we have another question in our chat box. Which is your most favorite and inspired projects of Laurie Baker?
My very favorite project of Laurie Baker. I think I have already said to you that school, Pallikudam, which was constructed for Mary Roy, mother of Arundhati Roy. So that is my favorite project of Laurie Baker. Why? Because that is the space where I really felt I should go back to my school days. I really missed my school days when I went to that school. I really recommend all of you guys to one day go and visit that place. It is very worth, and especially to the juniors, second years or first years who are about to do their primary school this time. This is a very wonderful option to do case study. How to do a primary school in a different way. So just small tip to all people who are doing a case study, please do case studies in this way that what I should learn and what I should not learn. So these two things is very important in all case studies. So as I said, like my case study in Pallikudam school was a turning point for me, and that's why I'm sitting and I'm talking, guys.
Okay, now we have a question from Seed. How has your tenure as the zonal president helped in your life as a practicing architect?
Oh my God, that's a very huge question again, because when somebody asks me about the NASA life, uh, the energy I'm getting in, or I really feel like how much I am like lucky enough to get such kind of a opportunity to lead the largest firm in our nation, NASA India, the organization. It was very nice experience. Got a lot of chance to meet a lot of people around the nation from different parts, different zones, interacting with new people, gave me a perspective and a thought that we should learn from more people. So that's where I got this that thought like we should travel more, because I got a lot of chance to travel during the tenure as a zonal president to another states and even to the headquarters of NASA India, Delhi, any other place. So wherever I went as a solo traveler for these meetings and all, it gave me a lot of like a change in my perspectives when I met strangers in trains, buses, and all. They taught me a lot. So and even the USEX unit designees, uh, executive council members, everybody gave a lot of like inputs to my learning procedure. It was a nice experience.
Okay, so Akshayaka has one more question for you. She has raised her hand.
No, I think previous questions. Okay, yeah, you can carry on.
Okay, so I have another question on behalf of Seed.
Okay.
What do you think architecture and architects lack and should pay attention in the solution for humanitarian architecture?
Oh, sorry, I didn't heard the question.
Uh,
Looking into the question.
can you hear me now? Anna?
Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah. So, what do you think architecture and architect lacks and should pay attention in the solution for humanitarian architecture?
I didn't feel like people act in certain thoughts, but I think people are not thinking. That's what I feel many cases, that thinking factor is missing in many places. We are not even thinking will how, when I'm constructing a house, how it affects another person. If we are constructing, like to construct a huge apartment building to erase the people who are staying there, and like a slum dwellers or somebody staying in particular places, and for to our selfishness or to construct our project, we are like just erasing them from that particular place or just evacuating from there to another place of rehabilitating. So that's where we should think, or think all of us should think how it's affecting. That's where like the social responsibility part again is coming into the picture. How it is affecting us when in like take the case of any celebrities, take the case of Ambani, when he like again don't go to that level, like just go to the statue which was made by our respected prime minister, the statue of unity. Around 12 tribal groups were affected because of that particular statue, and crores were spent in that particular construction. What did that like how did that contributed to the nation's growth economically, as well as sociologically, as well as ecology? 12 tribal groups were affected due to that particular statue is not a small issue. It's a huge issue which should be addressed, and that's where I think again we architects should respond, and not to think selfish and like to earn only money. Than that, many things are there.
Okay, Anna. Thanks for the explanation. And one more question. As a part of several relief works and initiatives, how do you think the responsibilities of an architect has multiplied in the wake of this pandemic?
as I was involved in the relief work. Pardon?
As a part of several relief works and initiatives, how do you think the responsibilities of an architect has multiplied in the wake of this pandemic?
In this particular pandemic scenario, as in like when the experiences and everything connecting with back to the relief works and all, it gave a lot of clarity basically. Just don't think about me. Just take the case of the state where I am. I'm so much proud to be here in Kerala. Why? Because the experiences we as a whole state, the youngsters of this particular state got a lot of experiences how to respond, during these kind of calamities or issues. Because the 2018 flood, I still remember when on a night, August 15th, the whole flood water is coming to the houses in the low-lying areas of Alapi, Kerala. Most of the houses were affected. A lot of people died. A lot of animals, pets, like a lot of those were happened. But at the same time, we we got a proper guidance from the authorities as well as from the seniors like architects, not only architects like doctors, administrative workers, everybody gave a lot of guidances to the youngsters, and thus we transformed like a lot of schools and open auditoriums and everything as rehabilitation spaces, and more healthcare facilities were added on to the state. And as a whole, in a general, like I can't answer as a personal, like I can't answer personally, but in a general aspect, the whole state got experience to respond to situations like this. And I think the 2 years, like even 2019, also we faced landslides. So the flood, landslides, and everything went on. Uh, it very efficiently, gradually. Like uh, we got the thought process how each and every situation is to be addressed, starting from a small child to the chief minister of the state. So all of them did their part, and when everybody is doing their part, and that's how it is, like it's termed as teamwork. And when a good teamwork is happening, definitely everybody can respond, especially even during these kind of pandemic situations. So teamwork is very important, I feel, and with that we shall overcome this situation, and we can wait for a wonderful day ahead.
Yes, Anna, yes. So I think it's time to wind up the session. So, on behalf of Seed, I would like to thank you for giving us this presentation to show us what all you've done throughout these days. And it was a really eye opener and it was, as I said before, an astonishing session. And you showed us that
Do we
architecture
have
is.
any other? Do we have any other question? I saw some other question by.
Yes, we have a general question on the chat box. Sorry. It's from
Okay,
Rahul. Hope things
I
are
feel
well with you over there. He's asking, just wanted to know
Rahul is asking
how
what?
uh, he uh, he asked whether everything's fine and just wanted to know how floods in Kerala has changed the face of uh, Kerala in the last 2 years, architecture in Kerala last 2 years.
People started looking back and now started to thinking how to face. We are expecting more. Coming years, there will be like can't predict, but now onwards we have to be prepared. So this particular statement to get prepared is there from 2018 and it's still continuing. It happened in 2019 September also. There also the preparedness were there, and in this year also the preparedness were there, and that was evident in the like when we were responding to the like the like to make sure that there will be less there are less affected people. So still that is continuing. Preparedness is what I feel is happening. That changed the face of Kerala. Like Kerala is now preparing a lot, adding up more health facilities, getting more funds, and getting more infrastructure, which can be changed as multi-purpose spaces according to the issues we are facing. So that's how I think it is done.
Yeah, okay, Anna. So I think it's time. So thanks on behalf of Seed. Thank you for showing us that architecture is just not about buildings, but also it's a humanitarian process. Thank you for things
Hello.
all your thesis, technical details, you some detail from how to use and recycle things. For everything that you've shown to us was really an eye opener. So I like to thank again personally. It was an
My
absolute
pleasure. My pleasure.
great to be interacting with you. It was
Thank you. Thank you so
absolute
much.
pleasure, Anna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Anna. Bye, Anna. Take care. You guys here, you can close the thing. Chaitanya?
Sanjeev, you can leave the meeting.
Yeah, sure.